Hello, guys, and welcome to Future Trend Today. Thanks so much for joining us. We have a very special guest on with me this fine Saturday afternoon, and I know it's a very mind-blowing circumstance. I'll explain to you guys what that whole experience went like. But I have Lee from SPQR on with me today. Lee, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all, and I appreciate the invite. So thank you.
No, I appreciate you accepting the invite. Thank you so much. My intention with this entire interview was to at least get to know, well, my goal is to get to know the individuals that have helped me understand the space a little better. And by the space, I mean digital asset space, everything that affects it, the research that goes into it to properly understand the legitimacy, and also weed out the chuff that is essentially, how do I say, bombarded YouTube over the last couple months or last few months. And especially from a perspective of newcomers, I wanted to at least reach out to individuals that I consider my mentors, even though virtually. I think it makes sense because you guys have such a great breadth of information that you share online on your channel. On SPQR, even though you've slowed down a little bit the past few months, I just figured I'd give you the opportunity to at least tell us where and how you started with SPQR, if you don't mind.
Of course, yeah. Well, basically, initially, the reason we come into this space because there was a lot of misinformation, not only from, let's say, Hopium, FUD, and a lot of people couldn't really see the opportunity that was upon them.
Right.
So what we wanted to do really, because we wanted to come at it from a different angle from everybody else, because a lot of other people out in the industry who do YouTube videos,
right,
and do research, do it for other reasons other than helping people. Let's say that's probably the politest way of putting it.
Fair.
So from our point of view, we wanted to just share information for the greater good. To be fair, it's been a learning journey for us as well, because when we started the journey, we did understand the bigger picture, but we didn't really understand it. Okay. So it's been an educational journey for us. So we've learned with the viewers as well.
Right.
But I would like to say that I've kind of formed a knowledge base and opinion that is well structured to be able to kind of share it as kind of matter of fact,
right,
rather than hypothetical. We're in a highly speculative market still.
Really is.
But obviously, yeah, it really is. So there's nothing 100% in this game. So obviously only invest that you can afford to lose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the more you join, you kind of think, can there be this many coincidences? Which I don't believe there actually can be. Just from a statistical point of view.
I was going to say, why do you say that?
Because literally, you can't have these many dots joining without there being some element of truth within them, right?
Right.
So really, I feel we set out as a group of individuals with a right agenda, with integrity and honesty intact. Yes, we've done a couple of videos where we've been wrong, but I'd like to say that our hit rate is probably about 65 to 70%, where we've done videos way before things have been announced.
Right. And
obviously, given the example of the call recently that Bank of England were going to announce Accenture as their technology. Yeah. And 2 weeks later, lo and behold, they announced. So everybody thinks I'm bearable, guy.
I almost feel like you guys are like crystal ballers. The amount of times that I've watched your content or any of the videos that you guys put out, and like reality, like kind of met you at a juncture. Like it's mind blowing every time. So that's obviously an intriguing element to why someone like myself will be drawn to your channel, because you mentioned that you were wrong in a few cases, but those are all educated guesses. So
Yes.
virtually speaking, it could be a position whereas you find yourself with these educated guesses manifesting themselves later on and not necessarily right when you anticipated them to be, or
Of
they
course.
don't
Yeah.
come out the same way you research and anticipate them to come out. So I mean, no one else, in my opinion, mind you, YouTube is a very big universe. There are
Of
probably a lot
course.
of other channels that are doing the same thing that you are doing, but I happen to land on you guys because of my search for something more organic, because that's how you guys present your work. How do I say this? I really appreciate the way you guys put your content together, in that one, you just mentioned you don't care for anybody's opinion of what you guys do, which is evident, because you guys are putting yourself out like extremely openly, and it's almost like a breath of fresh air. But at the same time too, there is a certain level of, like you mentioned, a high level of integrity, because you also admit when you're wrong, which is something that's extremely important, and it shows that at the end of the day, your reputation is something you, I'm assuming, consider to be important, but you don't compromise that at the expense of people's I guess love or hate online, if that makes sense.
Well, it all depends on it. To me, it all depends on what your goal is and what you set out to achieve at the end of the day.
Right.
If, for instance, you make some calls or you suggest something that doesn't happen, but for the greater good, where you're trying to help people see things that they might not necessarily see before, and they're wrong, even though they may be wrong, it still helps people come to the same conclusion as what you have. Right. So in my mind, wrongly or rightly, I'm still, even though I've been wrong a couple of occasions, I still feel that I've done it for the right purposes and not for personal benefit. Right. Where some people might just do a video with XRP is going to do this just so they can earn so much money off of YouTube revenue, where that was never kind of the case with us. No, because I would imagine with a lot of other YouTubers, maybe they don't have full-time jobs, or they're not successful in what they do personally. They may or may not be. They'll be, obviously, it's going to be case by case. It's going to be very different, right? And everybody's going to have different agendas.
Knowing what I understand now with regards to how the world works, because I'm always I'm always recalibrating my view of the world, because all of this can't be a coincidence, in my opinion. And when I say all, our current economy, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to transition into this conversation topic now.
That's fine.
Our current economy, our current economy right now is recovering from a quote unquote recession, or I probably even shouldn't say this.
We're not recovering. We are in a recession.
We are in a quote, exactly. So that's why I said quote unquote. Apparently we're recovering, because that's what sometimes, I mean, it depends on the day of the week. The news would say, oh, we are getting our jobs back, and so on and so forth. Like this, we're trying to navigate through in my opinion, it almost seems like a post-wartime environment. If you were to work your way backwards in history and look at, let's say something as well known as World War II, World War I, times of tumultuous times would essentially we'd compare fairly closely to those types of events, because, well, the economy was essentially halted. I'd like to think probably for the first time in its particular fashion in which it was halted on a global level, to essentially prevent the spread of this very terrible black swan event that happened at the beginning of the year. I don't want to say the words out because I might get flagged. But,
by the way, I've got a very strong opinion on this as well, by the way. Yeah.
Right.
So
and
I've got strong opinions here. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. And would you mind sharing a little bit of those on your end?
Well, I've had this conversation time and time again. Yeah.
Right.
before the event of obviously what's happened worldwide, the, how do I put this gently? Governments, in my opinion, needed to get the money in the hands of the people, the spenders,
Right.
away from the corporations, so they could actually stimulate the economies.
Right.
And we've seen it in history, something that they call helicopter money. I don't know if you've heard of the term.
Well, I've definitely heard of the term because it seems to be going everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a term called helicopter money, where they actually put the hands in the people to be able to spend, right?
Right.
So what's happened during COVID-19? They're giving 50% off at restaurants. They're giving bounce back loans to organisations, right?
Right.
They're giving stimulus checks to people. So they're putting the money in the hands of the people. So they're trying to stimulate the economy at the moment.
Is what it seems to be.
Exactly. But what happens when you do that? You devalue your currency. So there's a massive devaluation of currency at this current standpoint, which is quite concerning for me, because when the stimulus checks stop, when the bounce back loans stop, which we're going to see towards the back end of this year, in my opinion. And by the way, I'm putting my neck on the line and giving it another call again, as I normally do. I feel that that's when you pull the pin from the grenade. So I expect some catastrophic things to happen towards the back end of the year, early next year.
Right.
And that's when I feel that the regulation's going to coincide with cryptocurrencies at a similar time, because I feel people are going to cry out for a new system. So that's my opinion.